What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to another video. I am back. Happy New Year. Sorry it's been such a long time, but I hope I'm coming back to redeem myself to you guys. So, if this is your first time watching, welcome. And this is a series that I have put together where I am rebuilding a bike that I picked up from a wrecked auction. So, this bike is a one-of-one KTM 1290 Superduke R that is blue. It's not your typical orange. This one is blue. The first time owner of this bike commissioned it from new, from the dealer. They stripped it, they painted it, they did all the bells and whistles to it. And a couple of years down the line, it landed up in my hands and I had the chance to put my little touch to it. Obviously, I didn't do much to this bike, but I did something. And in this video, in actual fact, you are going to see what it is that I did, which touches I made to this bike. The bike right now, to me, is very special. This is the most custom work I've done to a bike, and it has somewhat sparked something in me to always try and do something, always try and leave a little bit of yourself.
What?
In the bikes that I work with in the future. So I'm going to show you that today, what we're going to get up to, and pretty much the bike is going to be complete at the end of this video. Let me take you through what we're going to be doing today. So previously, we have changed small things on the bike. We changed foot pegs were scratched up. We replaced the screen. That was the biggest highlight for me. Changing the screen was the biggest highlight for me because riding without the screen, you don't know if it's speed, you don't know the modes that the bike is in and stuff like that. I didn't know if the quick shifter was on. Quick shifter was not working. With the screen back on the bike, I was able to see such things, and it has actually been a game changer in terms of riding the bike. Anyone will tell you if they've ridden a bike without a dash, and it was the first time they're riding the bike, they knew nothing about the bike. Getting the dash is a game changer. And the other things that we've done were small things. Like I said, we changed reservoirs. The clutch reservoir was broken. We changed that, and we were able to continue riding the bike. We cleaned the chain, we serviced it, we did an oil change, and we did everything that we could do at that time because the other stuff were big ticket items. We needed to take the tank for panel beating. The fairings were broken. They needed to be repaired or replaced. You'll see what we do regarding those today. And then I've got something special as well. I've got something special that I have done to this bike that might make its way into this episode or possibly into the next episode. And pretty much, like I said, this bike is done now. There are small little things that are left that I'm going to be doing after this video. I might show them on a video, I may not, but we'll see how that goes. So guys, like I said, I'm hoping to redeem myself with today's episode. So please sit back and enjoy. Grab your popcorn, grab whatever cold beverage you want to grab. Sit back and enjoy the video. And as always, if you enjoy the content, please consider subscribing, like the video, leave a comment, man. I'd like to talk to you guys in the comments. So yeah, without any further ado, let's get into today's video. The time has now come where we actually start to rip into this bike. Everything that we've done so far has been small little things, but today we really get into the meat of things. This tank with the dent, the fairings on the side need to come off, the subframe has to come off because it has a small scratch on it, and that undertail piece is broken and needs to be replaced. So everything is now off the bike, and I will be taking it for paint the next day. And this little mud guard here, this fender also is a little bit weathered by the sun, so this is going to be repainted as well, just so that it has that shine and can blend in with everything else that has been replaced. I don't want this little one piece here to look like all of its problems that it had before. This wheel is next. This front wheel has to come off because there's some funny business happening here whenever I reach for the brake lever. I will explain this later in the video, but for now the wheel also has to come off. To remove this wheel is actually very simple. There are two pinch bolts on the side of each fork that you need to unloosen. The axle itself is a 32 Allen, and then you can punch that right out. You can remove the calipers just so that you have a bit of clearance when you're pulling the wheel out of where it is currently stationed. This big bulky exhaust also has to come off. To tell you the truth, I'm tired of riding around with the knockoff SC project, so I'd rather have something made locally that can do the job just as well. Now the first thing that I want to do here is start with this front wheel. It's a known thing with KTM Superdukes, and I think of all generations, is that this front wheel, when you have it on the bike, when you're moving the bike in like your garage or something, you'll always hear it. It makes this sound like it's like a whale in the ocean, like a little doo. At certain points when you're rotating the wheel, you'll hear that sound. It's quite a common issue. I'll try and include some clips of this. And I found a video of some other guy who tries to fix it. He says that the issue is actually with how the disc mounts on the wheel itself, on the rim. And he says that's not straight from the factory, and it results in that sort of droning noise. And sometimes, and I don't know for me if that is the cause, but when I'm braking on the bike and I get to like a very slow speed, I'll feel some sort of, sometimes in a car you press on the brakes and they sort of like judder, like you can feel it coming through the peg where there's a vibration coming through in the peg. So what's happening is I'll brake and I'll feel like the brakes are catching, releasing, catching, releasing, catching, releasing. And when you look at this disc, you can see that there are spots. There's like, I don't know how clear this camera is picking it up because it's shiny, but there's a spot here, there's a spot here, there's a spot here, there's a spot here, there's a spot there. There are various spots. So the brake pad doesn't have a consistent grab of the disc all the way around, which is why you're seeing all the spots. And it sometimes even feels as if you don't even have any pads on this, like it's a straight metal on metal sensation that you're feeling. And it's quite annoying because it even makes you not want to brake, because as you're coming to a stop, you know you're going to experience it, and it's very annoying and irritating, and it makes you want to brake less, which is actually, as you can imagine, a very dangerous situation where now you need to stop, but because of this, it makes you actually want to stop less. On a bike, you should have complete confidence on your bike. If you're going to go hard on the brakes, you know that the bike is going to be able to keep up with that and match that and bring you to a stop. So this is the first thing that I'm going to attend to. As you've seen, I've taken off the tank, I've taken off the subframe, I've taken off the plastic pieces, and everything else has gone for paint. And this is what we're going to be starting with. So let's get to it. We first have to remove the speed ring and brake disc on this side of the wheel so we can get to the surface that we want to file. All these balls still have a little bit of Loctite on them, so they're just going to need a little bit of elbow grease. Once the discs are off, you can start filing. In hindsight, I think this won't really be that effective because when you're holding the hand file, it's not going to be consistent on each mounting point, the way in which you're holding the file. So this, I think, is just something to make yourself feel better, but we'll see in the end. With both sides of the wheel done, we can now torque everything to spec. Nice. It's now time to put this wheel back on the bike. Like I said earlier, with the calipers in place, it's kind of hard to pull the wheel out and push it back in, so it's best that you remove the calipers. Then we just knock the axle back into the forks. And then we place the calipers back onto their mounting points. secure all the bolts and torque them to specifications. Don't forget to also tighten and torque the pinch bolts at the bottom of the forks. Don't ask me how I found out that mine weren't done up. There's also something that I'm not too sure if you guys picked up on this wheel. But look closely as I'm spinning it and tell me what you see. Alright, so we just got done installing the front wheel back on the bike. It initially felt a little bit better, but I applied a little bit of braking force and I moved this wheel, and I can still hear a bit of a sound that it's making. Like you hear it sliding on the disc, and then at one point you hear it let go, and then you hear it slide. But I mean, we'll definitely find out once we put this bike back together and we're rolling on the road. We'll see if that filing made any difference. Otherwise, we'll have to keep searching for a solution for that. But now we can turn our attention to something more exciting, and that is the fairings. So these are the plastics that we had come off the bike. They have the carbon fiber pieces from KTM, the inner fenders, or the inner fairings, I don't know what you want to call that. And then here we have the replacements. So some of these, the outer ones, have been scratched. You can see right here, there's the hole you can see outside on the other side of that fairing there. So here are the replacement ones for these two, the outer fairings and the subframe, the undertail piece. We also have that in here. So let me unwrap these and show you guys what these look like. And here we go. So these are what are going to replace the OEM plastics, the outer fairings. These are some fairings from Maxi Carbon in Italy. I hope they're from Italy, but yep. Let me unpack the rest. Here's the other one, both left and right. And then this is our undertail piece. Man, doing this with one hand is something else. And here is the undertail piece. I'd say this is the most gorgeous piece. So we now have to try and fit these on the bike. Hope fitment will go well, because you know, carbon pieces, sometimes they don't really fit that well, need a little bit of trimming. I'm hoping these will go on well. So that's what I'm going to be doing now. For especially the under tray, there are some pieces that I need to transfer from the previous one. Things like this lock set here, the locking mechanism for the pillion, the passenger seat, needs to go in here, and a couple of, there's something that goes in on the bottom here that I don't really know what its use is. It goes over here, it's like a little, I'll show it when we put it back together. But yeah, let's get started transferring the pieces from the old under tray to this new under tray. Put the tail light on this guy, and yeah, from there we just have to wait for the pieces that went for painting, and then we can put this entire bike back together. So this is our first fitment issue. This is where the key, the lock for the passenger seat goes on in the OEM under tray, and in the new under tray, if you check there, you see you only have like one notch in this, whereas the OEM one has two notches. So we need to notch this one in order for the key thing to fit in here. So let's try and do that and see how that goes. All right, just completed assembling these two, the side fairing, the tank side fairing, and the inner one. Obviously they're not made by the same manufacturer. This one is the Maxi Carbon one, the one that I'm holding, and this one has a matte finish. You do have options of choosing whether you want the matte finish or the glossy finish. I think KTM parts come with a matte finish, but this is a KTM carbon piece, this one over here, and you see it's a bit more shinier than this one. So I'd say this is a bit more glossy. The two, I mean, at first glance, I don't know if they're gelling very well. The weaves are different. You can see the KTM one goes slightly up, and then this one just almost makes like a 45-ish degree turn from that. So it's a little bit off, but we'll see when these go on the bike with the tank and everything, whether everything will gel together or it'll just look like one big mess for someone with OCD. So yeah, now we just wait for the painted pieces to come back on the bike, the tank to come back on the bike, and we'll see how this looks like once it's all buttoned up. These were a pain to put them together, and I mean the fitment you can see for yourself. Look at how that's supposed to be a screw hole for the fairing, supposed to go through there. That won't go in there without being shaved off a little bit. And the adjustment of these guys, I mean, you see I absolutely killed that first one to the far right. It's not looking good over there, but this is the best that I could do to get it to fit together. The other one is pretty worse, the one with the little receiver thingy, because there are none of those tabs left. That broke off, and I don't know if you can see it in there. The other one broke off, although this one, the screw hole lines up almost perfect, but again I still had to shave a whole lot of these things. So the fitment here was really not that great. I'm not too sure if when they make them for the OEM inner fairing, because this is the power parts inner fairing, the carbon one. So I don't know what they make it to align to, but yeah, the fitment on these two pieces particularly was not great. On the under tray it was a whole lot better. I just needed to notch the locking mechanism thing, and that was all done. Although we are yet to mount it to the subframe once the subframe comes through, so we don't know what the fitment to the subframe is going to look like. So let's wait and see there before we give it high praises. But yeah, all in all, this Maxi Carbon, the twill doesn't really align with the KTM twill, as well as the matte does not align with the glossy, but we'll see once everything is on the bike how it will look like.
3 days later.
All right, so here we have the complete set of plastics about to go back on the bike, including the subframe pieces off to the left there, as well as the tank. The tank is just outside. I'm just letting it cure just for an hour or two extra, because I literally just collected it right off the paint booth. So that is going to be going on last, and then now I want to quickly put these back on the bike and we'll see how everything fares. But this is what the bike looks like, and hopefully in a few minutes it'll look like a decent running bike, because we have to get out of here. All right, let's get to it. First to go back on is the subframe. These two pieces go on each side and they are bolted right to the frame. These are what the undertail piece is going to be screwed onto, and will hold everything else like the battery tray, the pillion, and the rider seat. The newly painted fender is up next. I've taped it up so that I can avoid damaging it when I slip it through the fork. Once everything else is on the bike, we can go ahead and put the tank on with all of its associated hardware. This hardware is actually what holds the side fairings onto the tank itself. This tank actually has a couple of bolts that are holding it in place. There's like 2 in the front and some more in the back. Since the lever guard on the left hand side took a beating, I decided to replace these lever guards with bar end mirrors. The left hand side grip had also taken a bash, so I replaced this with a used one. As you know, this is what our seat and seat cowl currently look like, but as luck would have it, we met with the previous owner who, amongst other things, gave us a spare rider seat and a spare passenger seat. I had these reupholstered, and now we move from having something that looks like this to something that looks like this. Got a couple more goodies for the bike, but I had to take the tank off again. This is the SAS system for the bike, and this will give me pops and bangs with the new exhaust. This is a K&N aftermarket performance air filter, and this will increase the bike's breathing capabilities. The air filter just requires a little bit of oil and then it can go back into the airbox. And just for the finishing touches, I asked Bandit Graphics to hook me up with the sticker kit. This is the brief that I sent them. It's based off the KTM Power Parts carbon sticker kit. We just made it blue and we included my social media handle onto it. Putting the stickers on required a little bit of trial and error, as I wanted everything to align properly. What did I tell you? So, I hope I have redeemed myself to you guys. The bike is pretty much done. You can see here it is behind me, and this is where we are so far. So the fairings are on the bike, the tank has been repaired, it's on the bike, the stickers are on the bike, the seats on the bike, subframe, undertail, everything is basically done on this bike. Like I said, I even managed to touch up that little spot that we left the last time. I had sanded this down and exposed the metal, and I touched it up a little bit with some black spray paint. So the bike is nearly done, but it's not 100% done, which is why you see there's no big cinematic reveal of this bike. You're just gonna see it as it is, and in the next video, if I have managed to sort out all these issues that are still on the bike, then you'll get the cinematic reveal and all of that stuff. Might actually not even go that way, but we'll see. So yeah, everything is back on the bike. The bike, I've been riding the bike for some time. I love it. People love it. The color, everything. I've taken it to a couple of events and people have really loved it. There's also something, I don't know if you can see down there, the big bulky box is gone. We now have a custom stainless steel exhaust hooked up by Gert from Dominator Exhaust, and it sounds menacing. It really sounds menacing. The pops and bangs that we got from this thing, you'll hear them. They're like gunshots. Sometimes they even scare me. Sometimes I ride it and I'm even scared of. I know if I just close the throttle, deceleration, pops like crazy. So sometimes I'm even afraid of the pops, that I'll even just crack a little bit of gas just so that it doesn't pop as viciously as I know it. Put it in performance mode or track mode, too many pops here. So yeah, this is the bike. Like I said, guys, I hope you guys like it. Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you think of the new look, and yeah, we'll take it from there. If you have any suggestions of things that you want to see done to the bike, then send them through, and we might as well just we might just do it. You never know. Things that are still outstanding, from what you can see from here, That headlight is still busted. You can see the orange piece. So that is what is still outstanding. The wheels, in the video when I asked you guys, can you spot anything wrong with the front wheel? The front wheel has a bit of a bend to the rim. I don't know if that is what was causing the issues that I had with the brake discs, because the filing also, it didn't really work. It worked in sort of half of my problem is gone. When you move it around in the garage, the noise is gone. Well, it's not as loud as it was initially, but when you brake, when you come to a stop and you have to brake, you still have that feeling through the discs. So it's halfway there. I don't know if the bend to the rim is the contributor to the discs being the way they are. I don't know. We'll see. So that rim, yes, it has a bend. This one in the back still has curb rash. It needs to be fixed. They may get painted a new color. We'll see which colors we go for. And yeah, those are pretty much the things that are still outstanding on this bike. The rims, the headlight, and the steering damper. The steering damper on this bike is still broken off. I don't have, it can be welded back on, but I don't have the mounts for the damper itself onto the bracket where the steering damper mounts to. So it's mainly those three things. Oh, actually no, there's a fourth thing as well. The brake lines for this bike, I got the brake lines as well. So when I met with the previous owner of the bike, absolute legend of a guy, he gave me, like I said earlier, the spare rider seat, the passenger seat. He gave me the brake lines that came off this bike. He gave me a whole bunch of other stuff as well that he had, spare brake disc, spare fork springs. There's a whole bunch of other stuff that he gave me, that spare handlebars. As you would have seen, these are pro taper handlebars. He gave me the stock KTM bars that came with the bike. So he gave me a couple of stuff, and shout out to him. He really did me a solid, because I did not want to buy this seat cowl again. I wanted the carbon fiber one, and I just didn't want to buy the carbon fiber one again. I didn't want to spend that money just for the seat cowl when I had all these other things that needed to be bought. So when he gave me the passenger seat, I thought, let's just reupholster it instead of buying the seat cowl. So it all worked out in the end, and this is the bike as we have it for now. Like I said, the stuff that's still outstanding is very little, and we will get that done. And man, this is it. This is pretty much it. So if you guys enjoyed the episode, if you liked the content, if you liked the bike, hit me with a like, send me a comment. Make sure you are subscribed, please. I am still a small channel. We are basically done with this bike, which means we need to move on to other projects. So if you can hit that subscribe button, grow the channel so that we can have more projects like this on the channel. So yeah, that's gonna be everything from me today, and I will close out with what the new exhaust sounds like. Just here in the garage, we will hear what the new exhaust sounds like. So peace out to you guys. I'll see you guys in the next episode.